So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to push this green much darker to bring this flower forward. So the cobalt green is beautiful. It's just not dark enough. So I'm going to go in with the greenish umber by Senoyer, which is basically this color, very dark green. And I'm gonna mix some of the cobalt in there so that it granulates. But I'm gonna push the darks much darker. And let's see if that, and then I'm gonna blend it all in back here with water. So what I might do first is wet all these areas where it's gonna merge so that we have soft edges. Try to keep the green out of the pink, but it all should be soft. So if we go in with that, just don't touch up there. See if we can get this much darker down here. Really pop these petals on these and the cobalt green. We'll mix that in just so we can get some kind of granulation going here. I'm also going to spritz this just to make it granulate a little bit better. Same thing over here. I'm going to wet these petals here first. Then I'm going to let it just sneak up in there. Much darker on the corners for a vignette. And you can pretty much see I've just been working petal by petal and trying to develop some form in these different petals. It's very challenging to do this without overworking it. So I'm just going to wet this. Hopefully that's not going to creep in there too much. This is a petal right here, so we're going to kind of leave that. Try to define that petal a little bit better. It's pretty wet, so may not be able to do it right now. Okay, I'm liking that better. I'm liking the transition here, how it's kind of sneaking up on that. So let's turn it upside down and do the background back here the same way, except I'm not going to wet these petals because I don't want this creeping in so much. But I am going to wet the background so it stays soft. And I'm going to pick up some of the pinks here as I go. Soften this edge right here around that. I am just going to soften that whole edge because I don't want that harsh right there. We're giving the illusion that that's in the background. So you can see I'm doing this very loosely. I do want some indication. Let's put some pinks in there. Just to suggest that there's some flowers back there. Okay. All right, that's looking better. So let's see how that dries, and then we'll decide what else we need to do here to bring this out. That's that dark edge. There's also a dark edge on this one. That helped a lot. Now it's much brighter. It's standing out. I like that much better. Let's soften this here. Soften this edge here. Keep building these darker here. Get that. Suggesting something down there. All right, let's let this dry and see where we are. All right, so I've made some areas pinker. I have made this softer and cleaned up these edges a bit. This is very close to being finished. I'm going to leave it overnight and see what I need to do with fresh eyes when I look at it tomorrow. So at this point, I am simply refining everything, cleaning up edges. I have gone in here and taken this brush, this inexpensive brush that I cut the edges off of, and use as a scrubber brush to simply lighten some of these areas again because they've gotten too dark. And this is the dance that we do, painting. It's like put it down, pick it up, put it down, pick it up. And if you just get a little water on your brush, you can kind of soften some of these areas and make sure that, so we're just defining the edges of the petals at this point. We're leaving this in the background. We brought this one forward by doing that. These are more interesting up here. This is looking like more like roses up here. I'm happy with these. This is getting better. This needs a little work. I like this better down here. And I think the green is dark enough now. So now I'm just going through and anywhere that I need to pull out some highlights on some petals, I'm just going to go back and forth with this little brush and create petals, highlighted petals here and there. Just like that. Just to define some of these edges of these petals. As long as you have a fairly stiff little brush, you can do this. But you need to keep it soft. And I've got a smaller brush. This little tiny 1/8 inch brush is my favorite one for doing this. But it's getting rather soft, so I'm going to have to get a new one. It's not as firm as it used to be. If you gently just go back and forth, keeping your brush clean. You can lift these back. This is just a slow, delicate process here. But this is what gives you the realism right here. It's taking the time to do this. Keep cleaning your brush. You're just picking up paint. Getting some of these edges, especially over in here. We just want the rough edges of the petals to show. Probably hindsight being 2020, I probably should have masked this out. Would have made my life easier. Remembering that this is basically a bowl right here. And so the petals are going to be deeper, darker at the bottom and lighter on the top edge. This one got a little too dark. I like how that leaves that little edge, very soft edge there. I pretty much stopped looking at the photo at this point. I'm really just doing what I think needs to be done here. To soften between these petals. And add some variation in here and some interest. You can easily overdo all of this, so you have to be really careful. I'm just picking out shapes that look interesting here. And it's very important to stop and stand back and see what you've done so far. Because when you're working up close like this, you really can't tell what you're doing here. So I'm just giving highlights here and there. And then I will probably go back in with some more color after I do this in the areas that look like they need it. So you get the idea. So let me work on this for a while and then I will be back. All right, as a finishing touch on these roses, I am going in with Dr. P.H. Martin's Bleed Proof White, and I am just adding the tiniest little bit of edges on these roses, and as I do, I'm knocking it back. Very, very subtle with this. If you overdo it, it's going to look very artificial and contrived. So I'm going to keep working on this because this requires intense concentration. Just everywhere that you see that you need an emphasis. You need to emphasize the tips, the very tips of the petals, because they are usually white. So once I get this done, I am going to call this done because I am overworking this. If I'm not careful, I'm happy with the detail in this. I think this was a very nice study, and I hope you found enjoyment watching this. And here is the finished painting. You have to be very careful with those white wash highlights, or those white, I guess it's white watercolor actually, but I've just carefully gone in and added just a few more highlights in here. This is our area of interest here, and this is our secondary area of interest. So there you have it.